Buongiorno, and welcome to Pasta My Heart. I'm Brenda, and today we are going to be making some tomato powder. I'll link another video below where we canned tomatoes before we did this, and this is part two of a three-part tomato processing week. So join me as we continue on to process our tomatoes into tomato powder. The next way we're going to take our tomatoes and use them is by slicing them really thin. Don't have to do anything to them. Slicing them really thin. We're going to lay them out on my dehydrating trays, and then we're going to put them in my dehydrator so that we can make tomato powder with them. Now, you don't have to core them, don't have to seed them. All you got to do is slice them thin enough, because remember, they have a lot of water in them. So it's going to take at least 24 hours to get these dehydrated. So first thing we're going to do is I will remove like little blemishes, because I don't want really to grind a whole lot of blemishes into my tomatoes. All right, that looks good. We're just going to slice it thin. Now, I love using paste tomatoes for this because paste tomatoes have a lot of meat and they don't have a whole lot of seed, and they definitely don't have as much water as a slicing tomato. So the difference when you're dehydrating, that's truly important. I'm trying to make these as uniform as I possibly can. All right, we're going to start laying these out. Now you can at this point, if you wanted to, you could come over here and I could, take all the little seed things out. But as you see, Roma tomato, like I said, there's a lot of meat in these. There's not a lot of seeds already. So I'm going to lay these out on my drying tray. We're going to get them into my dehydrator, and we're going to start them out at about 130 degrees, 135 degrees. And we're going to just let it roll for the next 24 hours. Okay, I have sliced all these tomatoes. Now, granted, they're not perfectly evenly sliced, so I'll be checking them in about 12 hours, 15 hours, just to see if there's any that are thinner that are done, and then letting the rest sit in here. We ended up with, let me show you my trays. We ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trays of tomatoes. I'm going to put them in my dehydrator. Turn it on. Let's set the time for quite a while. We're going to set it for 23 hours. We're going to set our temperature at about 135 to begin with. And then we're just going to let it do its thing. And then we'll check back to see when they're done. And then we'll grind them up and we'll make our powder. Okay? See you in about, well, actually, I'll see you tomorrow. Well, it's been about 48 hours drying these tomatoes that we sliced. And now I'm getting them out of my dehydrator, and we're going to crunch through to make sure that they're good and dry. Now, in order to make sure that they're good and dry, they should crumble in your hand. So let's see if we can get some of these going before we put them into our NutriBlend blender and crush them into a powder. So I've got my bowl. I wanted to go ahead and start crunching some to see. We are just going to test some of these. Now, because I cut things unevenly, this is kind of how I do it. If it doesn't break easy, or it's still kind of like bends or whatever, then I know it's not dried. And I was a little concerned that some of the ones that I did would have been too thick. And so I'm going to put them back in the dehydrator if I come across any, for just maybe, I don't know, we'll do 30-minute increments to make sure that everything is done. I've got 6 trays to crunch through, and I'm sure you don't want to sit here and watch me do them all. So I will be back when we get through doing all of the crunching. I will be back, and we'll take it to the NutriBlend blender, because that's the one I use. I love it. It makes things powdery really quick. And then we'll go on to the next step. Well, I've gotten all my trays crunched up. As you can see, we have a nice bowl full of dried tomatoes that we sliced, all crunchy. Now, as I was going through my trays and crunching to make sure they were done, because I don't slice things evenly, there were some that got a little overdone. So we're not using those. And then some of the little tips that I shaved off the end of my tomatoes, some of them are too hard to use. So we do have some throwaway, but we do have a nice bowl full. Now, what's really crazy is it looks like we have a lot to make a lot of powder with, but by the time we run it through the Nutra bullet to be able to turn it into powder, it's going to be a little bit. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do, of course, is fill it up with all these tomatoes. I know if my grandkids were here, they would tell me that these look like little miniature pizzas. Here's one I didn't quite get. See, looks like a little pizza. All right. We're going to pulse it a little bit and try to get it all powdered through. So I believe we've got all those pieces done. All right. I'm going to continue on. We're going to get all this done, and then I'm going to take you to the next step. It doesn't take that long to do this. And we're going to end up with some really good tasting tomato powder. So what are some things you can use this for? I already shared with you that you could make tomato paste futuristically with it. You can, of course, add more water, and then you would have tomato sauce if you needed it in a pinch. You can also, some of the things I'll use it for, and when we get into some pasta making, is coloring our pastas. Now, the next step, before we put it in our jars, I'm going to transfer this back over here. So they have my smaller bowl. We're going to take a sieve and we're going to start going through it so that we only have the powder. You'll have some residue left over, some of the bigger chunks that might not have gotten ground up. Sometimes if I have a lot, I'll run it back through and grind it again to get just a little bit more. But overall, this is our product that we're going to end up with. I love these things. I use them all the time. I'll put a link below for the ones that I bought a set of them. It was a really good price. And I'll put the link below in case you want to try to get them. All right, so as we work this through, I'm going to show you because it's going to leave a little bit. As we kind of just stir it, you don't want to press it. You don't want to do anything like that. You want it to do its own little sifting through here. And I'll show you what's left. So what we have left are some bigger pieces that didn't grind. See if y'all can see those. Okay, so we're just going to trash those. And we're going to continue. Oh, and let me show you this. So then what we have left is our finer powder. So we're going to continue on working just a little bit of it at a time, working it through until we have it all done. Well, we've done it. Look at this beautiful powder, tomato powder that we've done. This is smelling so good. And we'll be able to use it for so many things. I'm going to get a jar. Okay, I've got my jar. And just so you know, I've got a 1.5 pint jar. I use Azure Standard for a lot of things. And one of the things I truly love about them are their 1.5 pint jars. They are just so handy for so many things. All right, let's get this put in. Now, one of the things we're going to do before we finish completely up is you're going to want to make sure that your powder is completely dry. So how do we do that? I'm not a big fan of putting those little oxygenator, whatever they are, things in my food. I don't like using it when I preserve things. I don't even think about them because, like everything else, It's kind of a modern, quick, easy way to do something that realistically, if I wanted to really keep a lot of moisture out, I'd do it the old fashioned way. I'd take a little bit of cheesecloths, I would add some rice to it, and I'd tie it up and I'd throw it in here, which I do that a lot with a lot of the powdered things I do. Now, what we're going to do though with this is we're going to make sure, one, it's completely dry, because if you don't, then what happens, you'll get ready to use this, you think it's all dried, you think it's all great, and you're going to open it up and you may see some mold in it. It may not smell like tomatoes anymore. And so in order to do that, we're going to do one of two things. Now, all you got to do really is just take a lid, and I use, for things like this, I use my used canning lids because they're great to use for this. I don't use lids twice when I can. Y'all know that. So anyway, I'll put that on there. We're going to tighten it down really good. And we're going to just watch it the next few days. We're going to turn it, make sure that nothing is sticking up there. If it does, and I do like this and it falls off, that's good, because sometimes, things can get on the bottom of your jars. But I'm just going to keep turning it just to make sure it's dry. Right now, it's looking great because nothing is sticking anywhere. It's not clumping. It's not doing anything. Now, another thing you can do, I've stirred it up a lot. I also have a vacuum sealer. I only use this when I'm doing my dried herbs or my dried powders, things like that. Y'all know I live in southeastern North Carolina, and especially right now, it is nothing but humidity. So a lot of times I'll just do the same thing. We'll get our vacuum. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. The big lid. All right. So anyway, you mash it on, and then I'm going to turn it on. Okay. Let's get this off. And we've got a sealed jar. Now, let me just say this. I know there's lots of people out there, I've seen them myself. They'll say you can use this to actually can with. Don't use it to do any of your canning, okay? But it is great to put up your herbs in your powders. So we're going to continue to watch this just to make sure that nothing is sticking anywhere. And there you have it. We have made tomato powder. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, if you'll give me a thumbs up, subscribe to see all the other crazy things that I'm going to be doing with y'all. And have a very blessed evening. I'll see you in the next video.